announced. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay and getting better. There's a lot of transition happening right now, on top of like knowing that after the altar is coming out, so I'm gonna have to relive a lot of stuff, which is the hardest part of it. Every time something like the season premiering coming out or after the altar coming out, there's always the knowing that like the security of our marriage will be on, like spotlight again. And so with Jared and I going through the issues that we were, even as of late before we made the decision to separate, it was just heavy on my mind. Like, again, we're gonna have to like explain ourselves. We're gonna have to relive everything that was put on TV. And it was more of a push to kind of just make a final decision. Like, is this gonna work or not? Because like, we've given it a year, we've experienced the same issues repeatedly, so like, yes or no. And I think if the cameras weren't there, or if we didn't have to deal with after the altar, then I think we would have just had a lot more time to figure it out. But yeah, all the issues that were there before are still the issues now. So I think that was honestly the hardest part about watching the season back. It's like, wow, we're still struggling with the same stuff and still having the same conversations.
I know recently you announced that you are getting divorced. How are you?
Well, I hate to say I told you so. Obviously, before the Iyanna and Jarrett, we knew they were going to have the same problems as before. In fact, I did a whole video on this just quite recently, and I said about they're going to have the same issues, probably the same issues. That's what's broken them up. And people were saying, no, 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 no. The same issues what they had before, what we saw on the show, are the same issues that have broken them up. You know how we know that? Because that's how most couples are. There is an argument that keeps on that is cyclical, that keeps on happening. Usually, that breaks people up. Now, in all of Iyanna and Jarrett, I don't think we have to talk long on this. It's unfortunate. I don't even like people divorcing. I want to see people flourish and I want to see people win. But I also don't want to be. I don't also don't want to lie to people and be like, oh my god, like yo, it's gonna work for you. There was clear evidence and signs this was not gonna work. And you know what? Major issues that we saw on the show previously, weren't resolved, and they weren't handled the way they needed to be. Now, I believe that Jarrett, didn't really want Iyanna fully. He settled for her, and when you settle for people, you cause a person to feel insecure about their whole entire life. If you had just gone for Mallory, it might not have worked out either, but at least he went for the one that he actually wanted. And I said this, men be settling down with people they don't really want and then causing issues in a long-term relationship. Look, Iyanna saw the red flags and then decided to ignore it, and then having to watch the show back like she said and see that they're having the same issues that they had previously. A year later, they're still having the same issues. That should tell you everything you need to know. Nothing was solved at the very beginning, but things were swept underneath the carpet. The very issues that we saw plague you on the actual Love is Blind are the same ones now trying to break you up. And the reason being is because we have not solved the original issues. Because those issues are deep-seated, deep-lining issues that cannot be resolved with a sorry. They cannot be resolved with a short-term solution. It's a long-term plan you're going to need to resolve this issue with, because it's going to require you to build the trust back up again. It's going to require you to repair some of the hurt that's been going on. It's going to require you to let go of some of the things that have happened and forgive on a major scale. And that's very, very difficult when you're dealing with somebody who has done what Jarrett has done. Not saying that he's actually bad, but just saying the fact that he chose you when he had chose someone else. When you're watching a show back and you're seeing that he didn't choose you, you cried into a towel for another woman. Of course, when you look back at it, you're going to feel pain. And now we're doing the after special as well. And I'm confused about what she meant by, because the cameras were in their face again, they had less time again to sort out their issues. I guess maybe because they were filming more again, they had less time to work on their issues once again. But they should have been focused on the relationship from the very beginning. They should have focused on that situation. And if the cameras are there, the cameras are there. But they needed help. They needed counseling. They needed therapy. They needed a third adjudicator to get involved and take them by the scruff of the neck and say, "Hey guys, in order to make it, y'all need to do some real deep work." Deep. We had Iyanna's insecurity. We had Jarrett's miscommunication and the lack of sometimes thinking about Iyanna's feelings. We had that already in play, and they didn't change. Hey, I'm not going to take too long. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate it, guys.